collaborative kinetic art installation called Common Ground, and the idea was to connect 5 different cities across America and have a chain reaction run all throughout the country. So it started in California, and then using things like a phone call or an email, a signal was sent to the next state, which started their chain reaction until it circled all the way back to California. All of the kinetic art installations were inspired by contemporary issues in the community, so I chose to do women in STEM. And because I'm one of 3 female domino builders in probably the world maybe, which is really low, it's a really needed statement, it's something I really believe in, so I chose to do women in STEM. This video is a new series that I'm going to call My Thought Process, where I take you along, I hold my camera, and I literally film my thoughts as I'm building a domino setup, so you get to see and hear exactly what I'm thinking about as I'm building it and just get inside my head of like how I put together domino setups. And because this video is so long, I'm splitting it up into 2 parts. This is the first part, and then the second part will be uploaded this Wednesday, so not Saturday, Wednesday, so yay, bonus video. Alright, so let's get into the video. First thing I do whenever I'm doing a domino setup that's themed is I write down all the things that I want to include. So for example, I might do a flask for chemistry or gears for engineering. This is the plan with all the ideas that I'm going to include. I found a whole bunch of stuff in my playroom that I can use for this setup. We got like a toy car, which I'm gonna put a GoPro on, calculator for math, and some light bulbs, along with a mini TV, a level, and then some blueprints for engineering. Alright, so now that I have all the ideas down that I want to include in the project, the next step is to figure out how I'm going to build that. So am I going to make it a structure? Am I going to make that a field? Am I going to freehand it? I have to take the idea and turn it into something that can be built in dominoes. I'm going to make the signs now that say science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Each one is going to have its own color, and then that's going to be really easy to identify. So I've set up the overview time-lapse camera. It's right up there, and I blocked off the area where the time-lapse ends, so all the dominoes have to be from here to the back wall. So this is a pretty big area. It can definitely hold over 6,000 dominoes, which is my goal. Usually I do structures first, so if I knock it down by accident, it won't spread out and hit something else. The only structure I have is the stem wall, and that's gonna go right in the back. You have to be able to read the wall straight on, so you can't put it like on the side and then look at it on an angle. It just won't work out well. Each letter, STEM, is going to correspond with these signs. So I got the colors right here, and I'm going to use white for the background. The E and the M in STEM are done. I accidentally just dropped a domino into the wall, and it knocked out this one right here, but it's still standing. I'm carefully just going to try to put it back into place. Alright, there we go. The completed stem wall. Now I'm going to do the woman in STEM freehand letters. First I'm just going to lay out the design flat like this, just so I can see how big it's going to be on the floor. Now that I have a general plan on where each letter is going to be, I can just start filling it in with a double line of dominoes. Single line, double line. And I'm using a yardstick to just make it straight. Another really useful tool to use is this 6-foot yardstick. This will make all the letters on the same line. So to make sure that every letter is consistent in the same size, what I like to do is I measure out the width of the letter. So this is the same distance as this, and that way every letter will be the same. And because I'm writing out STEM underneath here, I'm not going to have room to have any lines coming from the bottom, which means I have to topple it from the top. That means I'm going to have to build all the connecting lines right now, because if I have all of this set up, then I have roughly like 1 foot of space to walk through here and build those lines, and that would be really sketchy. So I'm going to do all the lines now as I'm building it. I'm going to tape down these last 2 dominoes to make sure that it'll stop right before the end and it won't slide out and hit it. Once the E falls like this, it'll stop exactly right there. It won't go any further because it's taped down. Another really important thing to do when you're making letters is to make sure that the space in between each letter is the same for each, so that this distance is the same as this distance. These are the sides of the M. Now I just have to fill it in like this. And because it's going to be toppling from the top, I have to make it split off from the top dominoes right here. So I'm just going to put this domino halfway in between that domino and just make it split off. To make sure that these meet at one point right in the middle, every line on the left and right should be lined up, and every single domino is in the middle of the next domino. And There we have the M. So this is the basic outline of your circle. After you've done the cross here and the cross here, do another one in between all of them. Take a look back and see if you need to adjust any of them. So this one actually could go a little bit out, adjust the angles. The next step is to just fill in all the dominoes. And there you go. You should have pretty much nearly a perfect circle. Alright, so the female symbol is done. And now I can spell out STEM using these colors. Well, this is my first fail for this setup. Alright, so all the big projects are done now. We got women in STEM, that's the first thing that's going to topple. And then the STEM wall, that's the last thing that's going to topple. Now I'm just going to figure out where to put all the rest of the sections. So I have all the signs here. Science is first because S is STEM. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Now to figure out spacing and everything, I'm gonna bring in all of this stuff and just place it where it needs to go. Okay, so this is everything that I'm gonna be building in dominoes. First I'm gonna work on the flask. That's gonna go right over here in this section. And I think I'm gonna use clear dominoes for the glass container, and then I'm gonna use orange to match with the S in science. It's gonna start here and it'll fall like a triangle field. Notice how I'm building over here as opposed to right here, because if I accidentally knock something down, then the whole thing will go. But if I'm doing it back here, this is completely safe. Okay, here's the flask. I'm gonna do the trick where it flips up. To make this trick, you're gonna want 2 popsicle sticks. Put your 2 popsicle sticks on the back like this and make a V shape, and then tape it down with a piece of tape. Just so that these don't move, I like to put another one down here. Take a domino, tape that down. I like to use this clear packing tape because it's a lot stronger than Scotch tape. Get a piece about 2 inches long, just put the tape firmly on it. So this is acting as a hinge. It starts like this, the weight of the domino goes down, and the sign flips up. Just for safety measures, I like to tape this down to the floor so that it doesn't fall over. So to trigger the sign, move it down, and then you're gonna stack dominoes on top of each other until you reach the bottom of the domino right here. Now, depending on the height of your support, you might have to use more or less dominoes here. It just depends on how high it is. And then after, you just simply build a domino line. Here's the first test of the sign. Now keep in mind, the sign is gonna flip up exactly perpendicular to the floor. So if you're filming, like standing up, you're gonna have a hard time reading the sign. You wanna make sure you have a camera angle kinda low to the floor so that you can read the sign. Try to use cardstock for this. It's gonna be a lot more sturdy than regular paper and it won't flop over. And if for some reason your sign is actually heavier than the domino, add another domino and tape it to this so that this side is heavier and it'll go down. Shout out to Steve Price, also known as Sprice Machines, for sending these awesome field starters. And no, I was not paid to say this, but these are awesome, and if you need field starters, definitely get these. I think I'm just gonna make this starting line orange so that it doesn't blend in with the flask, and just connect the orange line right there. So to make sure that you have time to actually read the sign, it's gonna branch off directly after and go right in front of the sign. That way the dominoes will be in the shot and the sign will be in the shot at the same time. The 90-degree turn for the light bulb is all set. Now I just gotta test the 180-degree turn light bulb. This is gonna go all the way down to roughly right here. So I'm gonna mark that spot, put the light bulb back, and now we can test it. Now I'm just going to do that a couple more times to make sure that's reliable, and then I'll set it up for real. And one more thing, I tape this one to the ground so that I put the light bulb back in the exact same spot every time. I just realized that the atom is more like a science related thing. I don't know why they put this as technology, so instead I think I'm just going to do a circuit board instead of that. That's going to be a lot more like recognizable for technology. So this is a turtle field, and it's actually quite difficult. The dominoes on top have to go exactly in the middle of the dominoes holding it up. If you have something like that, for example, there's just a tiny bit of room on the end if you don't put it exactly in the middle, and that's going to make it really difficult to place the next domino and the next domino and the next domino. So I have the green background done, and I'm going to do all these lines using these mini dominoes. Before I actually put these dominoes on top, I did the field starter first, because if I accidentally knocked it down, then I would have done all those dominoes on top for nothing. So get the field starter done out of the way, and now I'm gonna do this. And also, the reason I'm using mini dominoes instead of normal dominoes is because it'll look a lot bigger in general if I use smaller dominoes on top. If I use normal dominoes, it might have too much weight so that the structure underneath might not fall over. It has a better chance of falling correctly and not stopping if I use something lighter like mini dominoes. So that's why I'm using these. And I already knocked it down. Okay, take two. Okay, here's the circuit board. Now to trigger these lines, I'm going to use some capital planks, and I'm going to just put it on a step of dominoes so that it can reach the top of this. And to make sure that the capital doesn't hit the dominoes down there, I'm going to tape this to the step so that it can only fall this way and it won't slide and hit the domino underneath. Better idea, I'm going to use this green city block so it'll blend in with the green, and it's a lot lighter than Capla's, so hopefully that will not trigger this early. Alright, this part is completed. The transparent line is going to hit the city block, which is going to knock down all the dominoes on the top of it, and after it's going to go around, hit the rest of the green, and this line is going to be going at the same time as a backup line in case that fails. Here comes the fun part. I finally get to use this toy car. I'm going to take this GoPro and put it probably like right here, so then you could have a car's perspective going